Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at an interesting Japan-only PC Engine game called Wonder Momo, which is a port of the 1987 Namco arcade game, and this is an instance of a game that has never been released outside of Japan in any form. Not the arcade game, it was not released on the TurboGrafx, it was later ported to PlayStation and Wii Virtual Console, and again, never released outside of Japan, so it's kind of an obscure bit of Namco gaming history. It's an early example of fan service in a video game. Momo herself is intended to be a Japanese idol type character, so the setting is actually performing on a stage in front of a crowd of her fans, which I guess is a little extra motivation. You're not just trying to enjoy the game, you're trying to entertain a crowd of weird, most likely perverted fanboys. This game is technically classified as a beat-em-up, although the gameplay is extremely simple. It's definitely no Streets of Rage or Final Fight. You can only move to the left or right, and your only mode of attack is kicking. So high kicks and jumping kicks. Again, with the fan service, you get lots of flashes of 8-bit white cotton panties. Underneath your health bar is your wonder meter, which by touching a tornado icon that will eventually float onto the screen, or by spinning on your own, you can transform into Wonder Momo. And the only real difference I can see between the two is that when you're Wonder Momo, you have sort of a laser hula hoop that you can throw across the screen at enemies, but it doesn't come back to you automatically. It will bounce back across the screen, but actually picking it back up can be kind of a pain in the ass and more of a distraction than anything. Despite how simple the gameplay is in Wonder Momo, or more likely because of how simple it is actually a deceptively difficult game. You're very limited in the attacks you can do. Meanwhile, your enemies will sometimes be flying and shooting projectiles at you. It's actually kind of frustrating and pretty tough, if I'm being completely honest. It is a port of an arcade game, so it makes sense that it would be difficult. It was initially meant to eat up loose change and waste time with. It's a fun enough game, but I don't see it holding people's attention for much more than 15 to 20 minutes at a time. That's typically what a session of Wonder Momo is for me. It starts out pretty fun. There's nothing really all that bad about just walking left and right and kicking monsters in the face, but eventually when flying enemies show up and just start pelting you with projectiles and killing you over and over and over again, you just feel really ill-equipped to deal with the challenge that the game presents. So I like it, but I like it in small doses. The presentation is what I think is the most standout feature of Wonder Momo. It's definitely the most memorable thing about the game, just the odd premise that you're a Japanese pop idol performing in front of an audience of your fans. For an 89 port of an 87 arcade game, it's not a bad looking game. It's nothing outstanding, but it is fairly colorful. Each stage has a different backdrop, and all the character and monster designs are pretty cool. So again, nothing mind-blowing, but I think this is a decent looking game for the time it was released. The soundtrack is pretty cool too. It's a fairly upbeat, catchy soundtrack. For the most part, sounds a lot like rockabilly and maybe some more up-tempo jazz. It's nothing I'd call a classic video game soundtrack, but it is enjoyable. And again, the presentation, the sound, the visuals, the premise, these are the standout features of Wonder Momo. They outshine the gameplay, which itself is not very impressive. So this definitely isn't the best game I've ever played on the PC Engine, and not the first game I'd recommend picking up if you're a new PC Engine owner, but truth be told, it's not a terrible game. There is some fun to be had here, and it is charming for what it is, and again, an interesting piece of Namco gaming history. Plus, if you take a look on eBay, this is a very affordable game. You can find it complete usually for about $10, and I'd say it's worth at least that. You'll get some fun out of this one, especially if you like really simplistic, old school arcade games like this. You'll get some enjoyment out of this one, I'm pretty sure. Just make sure you watch out for those upskirt photographers. They're always up to no good. A lady can't get any peace around here.